So, welcome back. This is episode 2. This is planning a D&D session for my son. He's only now he's currently 12 years old. If you missed the first episode, go back, check it out. It's about a single session that we ran when he was 10. Learned a lot from that, so it might be a good idea to check that out and do a single session before you jump into any campaign. You can get a feel of how your son or daughter plays, and that way you can figure that out. But so now let's start planning out. This is how I started planning out the new session, which is going pretty well. We are currently in our second session, and we did a solo session individually with each character. It's just my son, my wife, and myself. But I do plan on bringing in guest players to help him see what it's like that other player styles. If you have that option, would be great, depending on your pool of players that you have at your disposal. Or if you play online. I haven't checked that out yet. I'm kind of old school, which I let everyone know in the last episode. Speaking of old school, I am running a 3rd edition campaign. Because when I started, I was in 2nd, but 3rd edition books came out, and that's what I got comfortable with. I played over a decade of campaigns in 3rd edition. 4th edition came out while I was still playing, but as everyone knows, that was a poop show where everything became like a video game. I was really pushing towards role-playing more at that point and letting people do things. Though I do love a dungeon crawl and a lot of fighting, I'm pretty decent at managing that kind of stuff. But I know 5th edition is out now, and good part is that it is a lot like 3rd edition. There are some different rules, but this is more about setting things up for your players than the actual playing of D&D. So a lot of this will translate over to the new 5th edition. I'm going to start looking into it, especially since if my son wants to play with anybody else, it'll be 5th. So that will be in maybe a future video. So when my son came to me, I was at a total loss on what to do. I haven't thought about a campaign in a long time. It was 2 years from the previous one that I threw together, and so I started talking to him about what he would want to play, and I will work well with building things around somebody else. Like somebody will give me an idea. In the past, my cousin I used to play with wanted to set up a steampunk campaign with magic, and he wanted to run it, but ended up falling on my shoulders. But I ran with it, and it came up with a really great campaign on that. So I talked to my son, and I was like, let's start with a class. And so he didn't want to be the stock fighter. He wanted a couple more extra features, but he still wanted to be a fighter, so he decided on the paladin. And I was asking a race, and then he said half-orc, which is unusual for a paladin. But I love an unusual character. You can build interesting encounters. A lot of non-player character interaction might go weird, though he does have good charisma, so that can smooth things over since he is a paladin. We roll out of scores, and I ask him what kind of a backstory he wants, and he has absolutely no idea. So I think of a basic start for him, and I set him up in a village where he's an orc village where he's there, and that's where we're actually going to start. We're going to actually play through his backstory, which will be in the next episode, where I play the backstories. But this is just kind of setting up the campaign right now. While we're on solo sessions and playing backstories, I've done this in the past before, where I have started characters by themselves and then bringing them together individually, sometimes in small groups, then together. I like this because some players really jump in the front, and they won't, they might not take over the campaign talking wise. So if you have someone that kind of sits more to the back, they might not have a chance to develop their character as much. They still might enjoy the game. A lot of people like to sit down and watch and see what's going on. But since it's my son, I think it's more of a I don't know what I'm doing versus him just liking to be quiet in the back, which is more my wife's style, but she's going to have to get used to jumping in the front when with just a two-person campaign. So you start out these campaigns individually. They have a chance to develop their character, get a voice for their character. It worked really well in the past. So I set up both individual, making the whole background story, playing it out, maybe a little time jump you can do in there for your background character, background stories, and then you can bring it into the future. Now, if you have a child that can write these fanciful stories, is really into that, elaborate things, work with it. And this way you can kind of build the campaign around their character. If they have some kind of big bad in there, don't jump right into that. Start simple, keep it low level, have them interact with as many non-player characters as they can, small missions, small quests. I kind of had a idea to set up a large city, like a New York City style thing, where things happen at night and in the day. You can't even traverse through the city within one day itself. It takes multiple days to get around in there. This works though if I have drop-in player characters, because it's in a city. You don't have to worry about it being in a village. They could come one time and then a few weeks later come back again, as long as you work it into whatever they're doing. Or if they're just hanging out with them or something like that. And this way you can utilize that stationary campaign. Now you can still do travel and that kind of thing and have people meet new players. If you have a person who likes to play with you and maybe they want to try things out, you can throw them a new character weekly even. They can just be someone else if that's the type of player they are. Might work out really well. But as much trouble as I had on my son's character, my wife wasn't much better. She also wasn't thinking about playing D&D right now. So she was also currently working on a project. She works from home, and I'm going to do a little unapologetic plug here. It's the Memory Archive, and she scans and archives photos, videos, slides, documents, personal things like letters and that kind of things, and she puts them, scans and digitizes them for you at a nominal fee. So check that out at the Memory Archive. I don't know her website, but I will overdub that with a splash screen. But she was busy. I know she always likes to play a rogue, and since my son was already a healer type, or at least a little bit, my son has dark vision, I suggested maybe we could do some at night stuff, and so I suggested an elf, and she didn't want to be that basic. So I went back to thinking, and I go, "Hey, hon, how about a drow?" And
sounds good.
So that's what we got. We were working with that, and we're going to set up a little like a New York City night by night. It's it gives us daytime camp things you can do indoors, and we also have the nighttime nightlife, bars, all sorts of things, since it's a huge city. So I talked to my wife about what she wanted to do for backstory. She has no real idea, so once again I'm going to start her out like leaving the drow in the dark, but I need to know why. So I ask, so I go to my wife. "Hey, hon, what do you want to do? You want to leave because of political strife, or because everyone's too evil?
Evil.
Okay, evil it is. There you have it. I got 2 players. I'm going to work out the solo session campaigns, and we'll play out their backstories. So, I work a 9 to 5, and I'm trying to do dumb things like this. I don't have a lot of time to prep, so I do the bare minimum for these 2 solo sessions. I come up with some encounters, with my son and make a nice non-player character of a paladin. That way he gets rescued from him, so he gets to see what a paladin can do. A higher level. This also gives him some plot armor where he can be healed and not die from another character. He can always fudge the numbers if something went terribly wrong, or have an item on him. So you don't want to slaughter your child. That's not the goal. The goal is to teach him how to interact and play with the other players. Maybe you could plan something in the future where one of the other player characters might get, especially if you got someone that wants to play someone new all the time, knock them off. It might be fun, but not to start. Try to keep things simple, not too dangerous, unless they have some non-player character or a group of soldiers or something that can take the brunt of things. I pretty much just planned out, thought about what they could do getting to the city, and for them to meet. All I did was have them end up at the city at different times, because I did my son first, his sessions first, and the mission that he took, he was having a hard time figuring out what was the problem, so he was continuously there, and because of the delay and him, being able to see at night, and when the drow rolls in looking for something to do, they give her the same thing, because she can see even better at night and can find out what the heck is going on, and that's where they bump into each other. I'll go break that all down in the next episode, which might take a little time because I am not recording that the same day. One thing I do in my campaigns is I love giving out magic items. I know, don't hand out too many magic items. I do have a caveat with that, though. I'm not using third, so there's no attunement. There's no natural knowing of how this item works. I don't tell them squat. And identification spells in 3rd edition will cost at least 100 gold if you're doing it yourself. If you want a magic shop, you double that price. And even with an identification spell, if it has a command word or something like that might be specific to it, he might not be able to identify that. I like having them figure out what the actual item is that they're using. Obviously with plus weapons, just a simple +1, it's easier to hit, or it might be sharp if it's keen. You give them hints at what they can and can't do. If a monster has the item in his hand, maybe have him cast a spell with it to show what it can or can't do. I have I like to give out magic items, and but I don't like the standard issue ones. Of course, I'll go out plus weapon to help them hit and armor and that kind of thing, but I like to keep things random. But I have these old school Encyclopedia Magica books. Shout out to old school AD&D here. This is over 1,500 pages of magic items with weird, unique abilities. So I like to bust those out for things that they need to figure out. That's also part of the campaign and the mystery. They found this item. They cast detect magic and they know it's magical, but they don't know what it does. So through trial and error, they see things. For DM, you gotta keep track of what they're wearing at the time, so that way they know if something happens or not, with command words or other things like that. But that's as much as I will tell them. If they do spend money on identification, they might get something. Maybe I'll have a better. On this campaign, I have 2 shops, a lower end magic shop, and a higher end one. The higher end one will give them more information, but it costs more gold. So, and kind of gold is their premium thing. I'll get into some more of that when we finally get into the city that I have been fleshing out slowly but surely. That's the other thing. You don't have to make a detailed map of New York City to get your campaign started. You just give us some key locations, what they need to do, and just kind of work it as you go. This way, you And when you ask them what they want to do the next session, so you have a little time to flesh these things out ahead of time, and this way you do what they want, not necessarily what you want them to do. Now, of course, you give them things, you try to bring things back in these that you saw before in the campaign, and so you roll back, and it's always good to do a callback to a previous session of something. Next episode, I'm going to go over the solo sessions where I have my son meet the Paladin that shows him the ropes and shows him the town. He knows nothing because he's been in this orc village his whole life, and that way he gives him a little info, gives him training, literally starting at level 1 with that one. Though I said I'm doing 2 sessions a week, and so one Saturday, one Sunday, I gave him that level 2 right away. Level 1 is hard, so I bumped him up with that. And my wife, she's going to be coming into the city. I got a murder mystery planned for her, something a little more exciting for an experienced player, something I haven't done before. So she doesn't even know my routine on that. Try to keep it fresh. Now, one thing I'm a huge anime fan as well. I have the Big Eye Smallmouth D20 system, but it has a list of special anime powers. We're huge anime fans here, and I made a select ones that I have, and I have a random roll where I could give each person a power with their character. I happened to roll, which was the Damn Healthy ability, which gives extra hit points pretty much to a character for my son, which is great. He's a fighter. It also gives him way more difficulty to kill him when he does dumb things. So that's fun, and my wife got Sixth Sense. Being a rogue was very handy. I don't know. I just happen to always roll random things. I love random dice, and it works out. Or sometimes it helps develop a character in a different way that they weren't expecting to go, and the way the whole world expands. So it keeps things interesting. I don't like your tropes. I did that, and it's okay. But it's fun to. But for my son, this is his first experience, so he can see. No matter what I do, it's fun for him. So, all right, and that's it for today. And if, like I said, the third episode will be on that solo campaign where I'm gonna get into how my son is playing his character and the things that he wanted to do. Like he said, he wanted to be a cook. He wanted to cook. That's one of the things he wanted to do with his character. I try to have people pick something simple to do. So we'll get into that more next time. So subscribe if you want to check out more of these videos, and hope you enjoy. And we'll have some more of Lego animated breakouts on the next one with that.